Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. As you know, here on the Pace Report, I like to keep you abreast of what's happening here on the New York City jazz scene as far as new releases, as well as musicians that are really cutting their teeth in the industry. And just recently, organist and bandleader Joey DeFrancesco was in town for one day for his official New York record release of his brand new record, In the Key of the Universe, which is now available on Mack Avenue Records. Now, Joey just came in from Japan, and he did one night at the Jazz Standard, and this new record is really his exploration into spirituality. And what better way to collaborate as well as bring out some very musical ideas moving forward is the legendary Pharoah Sanders. In addition to Pharoah Sanders being on this new recording, he also brought in the likes of Mr. Troy Roberts as well as Mr. Billy Hart and the great Sammy Figueroa on percussion. Tonight you're going to see highlights of him performing the new music with Troy Roberts on tenor saxophone as well as the legendary Billy Hart on drums. in the key of the universe. And when I heard this record, I just thought about the spirituality aspect of this, because you have Pharoah Sanders on this record. And in the late 60s and 70s, a lot of musicians, even soul musicians, were connecting themselves with the universe. How did you come to get with the universe in this project?
Well, Brian, you know, it's just been, it's a natural, at least for me, and I think a lot of folks, it's a natural progression when you're playing this music, because this music is all about spirituality anyway. You know, we're improvising, and it's not just about technique and notes. And you know, and as I grow and mature as a person and as a musician, just more of that comes out, and becoming more aware, you know, searching for enlightenment, you know, and and having gratitude for all the other things around us, and for what I'm able to do and play music. And in the key of the universe means two things. It means being in touch with the universe, and it also means musically, that's what key we play in. You know, we're not, you know, that's what, like, free music or free jazz or spiritual jazz, there's a lot of, I like spiritual music, you know, without putting an actual title, because it all fits. It's all music. But, you know, it frees up the music when you're really listening to, you know, and you let the universe come through it, you know, without being too technical about it or philosophical. You know, it's just, it's a feeling, you know. And I'm meditating now and things like that, and you know, it just makes a big part of how you live. And playing the music, you know, when you're younger, is about, you want to play everything great, and you're not thinking about that as much. But as you know, you grow, and spirituality becomes more important, and you become more aware of it. It's wonderful.
You know, Joey, I'm sitting down with you. We've interacted over the years. Where you are musically and spiritually now versus where you were about a decade ago?
Well, musically I can answer. You know, it just got more and more open as I go. I mean, I love, as you know, because you've been around to many things and you know what's happening, I love all kinds of music, all different settings. I mean, I've gone all over the place. And so I'm not really one type of player. I'm a chameleon. And to be a chameleon, you have to be in touch with everything. And, you know, when you don't understand the freer music, because the musicians, somebody like Pharoah Sanders is such a great musician, because Pharoah has all the fundamentals too. You have the ability to be free when you know all the, you know, the fundamentals, you know, the tradition. So having that, and then involving, you know, your spiritual side, you let that happen and walk through the room, and you put those two things together. So in the last 10 years, it's been a natural progression that's been happening. You know, my last project, Project Freedom, that's, you know, the doors, that's the gateway to spirituality, what's happening on there for music for me and my growth. And when I got to this project and where I'm at musically, it was a natural to bring Pharoah Sanders, you know, in on it. And I've known Pharoah, I met Pharoah in 2004. I was playing at a club in Vienna, and Pharoah was also playing at another club not far from me, and he had Orrin Evans in his band. And Orrin's my man, we're good friends. And Orrin said he took Pharoah to come see me, and Pharoah got so into it, man, he wanted to sit in. And I'm like, can you sit in? And he came up and played Body and Soul and like a bar walking blues, man, you know, which like a lot of people wouldn't associate him doing, but he does all of it, right? And loves it all. You know, to him it's just playing the music. It doesn't mean. So we hit it off, and I've been wanting to do something for a long time, but this project and where I'm at was like, this is the time to do it. So I asked him, and we made it happen. And then naturally I wanted to record The Creator Has a Master Plan, which turns out this is the 50th anniversary of that release.
Karma album.
Yeah. And then we started thinking, well, who's on the original album? Billy Hart. And me and Billy go way back. We've done 5 or 6 different recordings, and we've toured together. We've done a lot of stuff. was a natural to have him, and he's another one that approaches the music with so much freedom and so much spirit. So it was, and then put Troy in there, who can go anywhere, and he's playing some bass on some stuff too, and Sammy Figueroa is on percussion on the record. And you have what in my version of in the key, being in key of the universe.
Joy, I respect Mr. Sanders because I've interviewed him many times and have interacted with him. And one thing I've noticed within the last decade, Pharrell has really opened himself to the younger generation like you and, like you said, Orrin and some other musicians. What is it about Mr. Sanders as a musician that is so very important to the key of what you're doing now, but also what he's brought to the whole facet of jazz?
I think that serious Well, for example, Creator has a master plan. What he puts into that, the Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness through all the land. I mean, that's Pharoah Sanders, man, and that's what he brings to the music. You just take those two lines from that tune, and that's it. And he's beautiful, man. And like, we talk on the phone, man, for hours at a time, about music. I'm playing saxophone now too, so we're talking about that, and he's into that, and he's so supportive, and and there was an inspiration for a long time. I always loved this plan. I love the way he played ballads, man. A lot of people weren't ready for the real free stuff, but man, when you start to understand that and how sincere the intent is on that, it's just not, and what he's doing with the multiphonics and all.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about it, and he said, yeah, man, some of that was because he liked the sound of the organ, and he was trying to make a saxophone sound like an organ, and I didn't even know that, So he loved organ, man.
And that's sad because everybody associates Pharoah with the whole free jazz, but I have some recordings of him where he's playing some killer ballads.
Yeah. There's a record called Welcome to Love.
Ooh, yes.
I love that. We talk about that all the time. And he still does all that stuff in his gigs, So, yeah, he plays great ballads. He plays beautiful blues. He's a complete musician. But the freedom part is what makes him even more. There's something about that. I mean, I like to groove. I like to keep a groove, but I love that freeness of the music.
You brought Sammy Figueroa into the mix also.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved what he's done in the tradition of jazz and Latin jazz. How did you go about bringing him into this project?
Well, I wanted some, this isn't really the type of record for conga drums, but it needs like colors, percussion colors, which Billy covers a lot of that on his own. But when you're recording, it's nice to add some more of that. And he's the first cat that came to mind because, he did records with Don Cherry. He knows how to do that. So he has all kinds of stuff that only he has, too, that he, toys and things that he made. He's got a gas pipe that he's got, like, some different stuff, man. And he really brought some. It's one thing to play chimes, but it's the way he plays them and places them and Tibetan cymbals and, all that all those things, he really knows how to put them in there.
This spiritual record, I call it Joey's spiritual record.
That's all right.
I think as a person who has to understand your craft as a musician, you have to meditate and you have to expound upon life. How do you do that when you incorporate just composing, but also when it's time for you to play?
Well, composing, man, especially lately, I like to get it. It's a little bit of both, but I like to get a title. When I get a title, melodies start coming. A title that I really believe, like the titles on this record, Inner Being, Soul Perspective, A Path Through the Noise. With all the noise that's going on around us, man, you have to find a path to go through quietly and meditate. You can meditate while you're playing, too. You're droning and you go somewhere else, man. And so that's the approach, for me and where that comes from. So composing, I could be meditating, and you're not supposed to be thinking about anything when you meditate. You're supposed to just clear your mind. But a melody is different than thinking about a problem. A melody is a problem solver. So that comes in and, I'm ready. Then I'm ready, especially when I'm thinking about a title. Then I'm ready to go and write a tune,
You know, this is a very different part of your life right now, as we talked about earlier. Musically on the B3, and you playing trumpet, and also you sing. What is it that you find that you're doing differently now?
I think just the more of a relaxed, spiritual approach to music and to life, and it just comes out in the music. I can't do anything in my life that's not going to come, because music is such a big part of what I do. It's who I am, and I think that being in touch with myself and the universe, and listening to the universe, and being grateful for everything that's happening, and that's the change, and it makes the music different. At least I think so. I feel it.
Last time I saw you, I forgot to tell you this. The Van Morrison record.
Yeah.
I forgot to, and when I got the advanced copy of it, I said, Jesus, boy, we got two heavyweights in this camp on this recording. And, I've seen you sing, and I've seen you play behind, or you accompany artists. But what was it like accompanying a gentleman that covers the whole gamut of the musical diaspora? He does jazz, he does R&B, he does blues, he does rock. I mean, and you do it all too, but I know that had to be very different for you.
Well, it was different, but in a lot of ways very similar, because we, especially when we got together, the original call was management to management. Van Morrison would like to do some recording with you. Wow, because, who's not a fan, His songs alone, man, and all the tunes and body of work he does, it's incredible. And then when I got to know him, man, and I found out how much music he knows and listens to, so you could talk about Pharoah Sanders with Van. He's going to know all about it. That Leon Thomas was on Creators of Masterful. He goes through the whole thing, man. And that made sense to me why all his music has so much depth, because that's behind it, And when we got together and talked, man, we were going to do the project, he basically gave me the whole how to do it. So I said, let's use my band, and he was cool with that. And, the record came out great. And we went in the studio. We did everything in 2 days, man.
What?
Yeah, he sings live, all one take. Yeah, we had a week planned. We wound up mixing it, mastering it, and everything, that first record.
You know what validated me and Van Morrison was the fact that he took Alfred Pee Wee Ellis, and he was his music director for almost a decade.
That's what Van does, man. He knows what to do, man, and he throws a lot of stuff out there, man. That's helpful to the cats and helpful to music and people hearing and being exposed to more with things like that. Like, because he's a musician. He doesn't want to be called a pop star, but he is. He might not feel like he is, but he is. That's the kind of, he's huge. So for him to make a decision to have a straight ahead jazz, type of cats and make records like that, it helps everybody. It's great for the industry,
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the Jazz Standard here in New York City for the official New York record release premiere of Joey DeFrancesco's brand new record, In the Key of the Universe, which is now available on Mack Avenue Records. I'd like to personally thank Joey for his time, as well as Troy Roberts and the legendary Billy Hart, as well as Miss Gloria DeFrancesco for arranging my time with Joey, as well as the staff and management at DL Media. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Jazz Standard for their warm hospitality. Make sure you go and buy Joey's brand new CD, In the Key of the Universe, which is now available on Mack Avenue Records, and you can buy it at iTunes as well as Amazon.com. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.
Thank you.